Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk a little bit about what I have going on and what I'm going to have going on. If you are just seeing this for me for the first time, I'm taking time, Bob. I do a lot in the actual play side of things. Also, uh, more to do with interviews at TTRPG talks with game designers. Uh, and those are kind of my two big projects. I also do some creation videos around Pendragon and other TTRPGs that has less to do with the actual plays and more of I guess theory crafting within those realms and trying to sell my favorite game, Pendragon, the role-playing game. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and shrink my camera and just show what I want to work on. Hey, welcome in, guys. All right. I think I'll start with just a general update. So this weekend is the Edmonton GameCon Canada. Pretty excited for that. And if you're happen to be going, Edmund, if you happen to be going, feel free to try and find me. I'll be on the floor doing a lot of on-floor interviews with hopefully with some of the creators that are there, and then also random people that interest me. I think that'd be fun. And then I'll bring it back home and I'll compile what makes sense and what worked, and then put that into some kind of video. So this is June 12th to the 14th. I'll be there. All right. Outside of that, I think the most important thing to update on is the Pendragon campaigns. Let's start with Salisbury. No, we'll do it in reverse order. We're gonna go with the newest game, which is Nintelia's Legacy. Maybe I'll take a step back because I'm thinking in terms of Boy King, but I want to talk about what's happening immediately. So we going into another set of crossover recordings. So this is like a Fog of War thing, where players they meet for their sessions and they don't share what they did, and we put them together and we record them and we compile them and we make them available to people. So we're gonna go ahead and release the crossover recordings sometime probably in the next probably towards the end of June, because we aim to get through the year 508 and that's when they're taking place. So crossover recordings between Elliot, Legacy, Salisbury, Anarchy, and potentially Summerland. When I say potentially Summerland Enchantment, it's because the folks there aren't necessarily combatants, and this is a Fog of War because there's war. So that may or may not make sense for the cast to be there. If they want to be there, they can. So that's the immediate thing. And this will be June, let's say 16th to the 23rd. Go ahead and put these in some headers. All right. Why the hell did that one? folded. Okay, I get you. Do it this way. More sense. All right. So after the crossover recordings, we will be moving into the end of Anarchy. And Anarchy will be coming to a close probably, we'll just say late June through July. This is a huge milestone. So when I say Anarchy, I'm talking about the massive Great Pendragon campaign. Anarchy is one of the longest periods. It's also the most player-driven period in some ways. It sounds like the rest won't be player-driven. It just means that in Anarchy, it's a bit more sandboxy, is really what that's trying to say. So it's not so much that the others don't have player agency, it's just that that particular period of time has the most player agency. And aimlessness, so a lot of people crash out during End of Anarchy and they don't actually get anything going from there. Hey, Crit Crafters, welcome in. Go ahead and take some shout outs to you guys here. Alright, so that is End of Anarchy. And then we'll talk about Boy King. So Boy King is the new default setting for Pendragon. New old, it's been the default setting before. In the most recent edition it wasn't, and now it is again. I'm pretty excited about Boy King because there's some good stuff happening there. So we'll start in reverse with Nantelia's Legacy. Go in reverse order here. So Nantelia's Legacy during... we need to kind of confirm the cast. When I say that, unlike the other two games, Nantelia's Legacy started as, and if it continues on, will continue on as professionally run game. So it was my pro GM game to give either people that wanted to try Pendragon a shot at it, or to give people that were excited for the universe we have in place, give them a chance to affect it in a more direct way. Like Open Pendragon allows for some basic cross section, but it's not quite the same as Nantelia's Legacy was treated as a full-fledged third stream. With all the same ability to affect the world that the other two games are. I charge currently, I believe, $7 USD for that, if memory serves, but I have to double check. Got a question here. Do you think that in 60 that they'll revamp Great Pendragon campaign setting? So the information I got from this, the speculation I got from Vortimer, which is Robert Schroeder, the guy who did Book of Sires, so he's pretty close to the in-crowd there. This was done right on TTRPG Talk, so this isn't super insider info. His speculation was that they'll do a series of Pendragon campaigns. Rather than putting them all into one giant campaign, they'll flesh them out more. Which I can see how... I'm not sure I'll like it as much. I'm not going to lie. I'll have to see what they do. I could see how someone could look at the Great Pendragon campaign and be like, my god, there is nothing here. It just seems really linear and there's nothing. But once you start playing Great Pendragon campaign, you realize it's built that way to give you as much room as possible as a GM to write in the in-betweens. And that's something that modules don't do very well. Like, I don't think they do that well. I think you as a GM, you're often forced to have to kind of like, in any system, any module I've seen, you you have to like insert pieces, and in some ways I think that's even more confusing for players to figure out, what am I taking out, what am I putting in, if I take this out will it crash and burn these things. By having a super sort of high level that GPC gives you, it gives you lots of room to craft your own story, and it gives the players a lot of room to affect the story in a way that the last group didn't, you know. So I think, for example, they'll have a Boy King published. They'll have, I'm trying to think of the order of things. Boy King, Conquest, Tournament, Romance, Grail Quest, Twilight, I think is how from here. But there is an excellent video from Dan Brown where he talks about how good Dan Wells, not Dan Brown, Dan Wells, where he talks about how good the Great Pendragon campaign is. He goes as far as to call it the greatest campaign for TTRPG ever created. And Dan Wells is currently doing what's his title right now? So Dan Wells is an author. Let's pull this up. This is what convinced me, aside from the Eric Vulgaris' stream, to try the Great Pendragon campaign. So he has a couple of, I think his only bestseller baby was I'm Not a Serial Killer. But he is currently doing, I wonder if they mention it here, Brandon Sanderson's TTRPG stuff. Oh, I didn't know he was a former roommate of Brandon's. That makes sense. I feel like I thought he had a formal role right now. Brandon Sanderson's releasing his big Kickstarter. Cosmere RPG, and Dan's involved in that as something formal, of which I forget. There you go. He was involved in a Stoneworker adventure. I don't know what from there, but if you're familiar with like Mistborn and stuff, I know. Anyways, I got turned on to a lot of Dan Wells' various RPG reviews, and I thought they were really good. And I like the way he thinks. And when he sold me on not only Great Pendragon campaign, but on Book of Uther. Book of Uther is the better template, in my opinion, than Great Pendragon campaign. It's just got a little more meat on the bones for those 4 years you're supposed to play through than GPC does for its entirety. And that little bit of extra meat is just enough to make it feel a little more live. Other than the story, what from the Pendragon system do you like most compared to other systems? I think this is almost without contest. I'm sure there's lots of people that think various parts of the system are cool, but I'd say probably the most popular part of the system from diehard Pendragon fans is the trait system. The idea that you have these 14 traits, 7 and 7, that directly contrast each other. At first, you look at that often and you go, man, that's going to take away my player agency. Like, so I just have to act proud because I rolled proud. That kind of sucks. As you start to play through the system, you can start to use it like a tool. You're like, I don't know what to do in this moment. Actually, hold on. More than any other RPG I do, because I think right now, my character, he has a 15 proud out of 20, Uh, that's very high. I think he's going to act prideful in this moment. But let's roll just to make sure. And you get some really cool things that happen. One example is with Rebecca's character Olwen, who literally handed over an enemy who she wanted vengeance for to be tortured. And then we did a roll after the fact to see if that was like going to keep her being cruel as well. Not only did she get her vengeance, but was this something she was doubling down on, becoming a darker character? She rolled cruel, failed it, and then rolled, what is it? Merciful? Yes, because forgiving and vengeful, merciful and cruel. She rolled merciful and she crit merciful. So it's like she came to regret that, and that stopped the character from becoming a darker character at the time. Like that would have been a quick path to darker. So that's just one of like 100 stories I have from maybe 3 years of playing this game. It's so cool when those dice and those traits come up and really inform your character, and it really breaks the cycle you see in a lot of RPGs where people just play the same character, different archetypes of the same character over and over and over again. That's really hard to do in Pendragon because your dice and your traits and your passions can tell you so much that there's sort of this back and forth between the GM and the player, and I guess the story that's unfolding that informs how that character is going to progress. Like arguably, not even the GM has control on where that character is going to progress. It's sort of like a weird mixture of the player has some influence, the GM has some influence, and the randomness has some influence on how that character's personality will evolve. A lot of characters, save for those who've come from really experienced role players, don't know how to evolve characters. Like they play the same one-dimensional, two-dimensional character for a long time because they don't. I mean, unless they've played a system that helps them kind of or they come from writing, creative writing, they don't necessarily understand how characters might need to evolve. So, in my opinion, there are some systems that really help do that. In Pendragon, the progression of time does it, right? Hugely, like that. Nowhere else in my role playing have I ever had to deal with like a character getting old and their body failing them slowly. I think that informs the character, yeah. How did I decide to go with the 3 games? So it was an evolution. We started with Salisbury. We wanted to learn the rules because I'd never played. I just watched Eric Vulgaris' game. I had an older edition of Pendragon 3. I picked up Pendragon 5 after watching Eric Vulgaris' stream. Ran through the prologue, which is called Favored Sons. Start to finish, probably my favorite story so far, start to finish around the PCs, was Favored Sons. From there, there was this Summerland arc that went so well, and there were two of the cast members from that first season were regular watchers. So we're like, hey, you know what? Let's try a spin-off. Let's see what a spin-off would look like. So when we did Sword of Victory, we spun up our first Summerland. And then that kind of stuck around, seemed to have some legs. For a short time, I'd say it was even more popular than the Salisbury game. From there, Ninteli's Legacy was... I was looking at trying to start up some professional GMing. I did a bit of it at Project Aurora as a subcontractor. And while that was cool, it was D&D 5, and it just wasn't as much my thing. I really wanted to see if I could, expand my business and kind of justify my time. Because, listen, I wanted to do Ninteli's Legacy regardless. I thought that was a real cool story. It is a real cool story, and it's not even done yet. But there had to be a point where I had to start justifying my time because all my free time is going into this. And actual plays don't necessarily generate the most views. They don't necessarily generate the fandom per se, or like you could argue that doubling your games doesn't double your fandom, if that makes sense. So I had to find a way to justify that, and putting it as a pro GM game, eyes open, everyone going in. I had to look at it that way. I think everyone other than Drax and Trent, no, Drax and Trent, I had experience with already. So Drax is someone I've known online for a long time. We've played all sorts of text role play games together back years ago before audio video, was a real good option online. And Trent was kind of our herald for Open Pendragon, so I knew he'd be a good fit. And we also had Lassam Bruja, or Bert, known as the Fumbler right now. Bert came over for a mini series I did called it was a Mellahut game. I can't remember if it was called The Invasion of Mellahut, what it was called. But yeah. Yampa and Wergar were new entirely. Picked us up on Start Playing Duck Games, and Yampa's gone on to do other projects with us. And Wergar still seems to be enjoying himself. He's also, as announced on stream, actively listed, so his time I don't think is as free as some of the other folks. Oh yeah, so the Fumbler, he has fumbled his passion so many times in this game, and fumbled key rolls so many times in this game, that his character is now known as the Heir of Job, because he's a religious knight. Hey, Cyberbro. Yeah, we had Cyberbro actually on from Start Playing as well. That's how we met Cyberbro, and Cyberbro's come on to do a number of things with us, including the Dr. Quangle over at the Tremere game. Going to run first feast in the next session. What do you do to prep? Okay. Are you using... Maybe I'll cover both. 6th edition, I haven't dug deep on it yet. I know it's a lighter system. I don't think there's a ton there. The Book of Feasts is a little more expansive, I think. If you're using that, it's real simple to read through. You don't have to use the feast system. I think the feast system adds some real value. Okay, 6th edition. I would take a look at doing it as rules light as you can. Those cards make you think on your feet. So here's my advice. Know a few key figures at the feast, more than just a Lord and the Lady. Because that'll help you make sense of those cards when it says like a knight's crying, blah blah blah, or a knight challenges you to a duel. If you have some other people there, you can quickly call on them, and then you're not making up a character on the fly. I cheat. I have a make up a character on the fly button that I put together using other rule tables. Oh, I don't want to do it that way. I'll show you here. I'm sure you've probably seen this in my streams. Ignore the music overlap for a sec, because I'm sure Roll20 will have music. I would seriously look at certain elements of Book of Feasts, not even the cards, just other elements, and see if there's anything you want to hack in. Because I heard Feasts were pretty light in 6th edition. If they don't have a list of what to eat, that comes from Book of Feasts. I have a literal roll table, so you can decide what your courses are. That adds a lot of flavor. I mean, if I forget if I forget to make mention of what everyone's eating, like someone always calls me out. One of the players is like, "So what are we eating?" Like it's a big deal to them, right? So, um, there we go. So you can see here, we roll this feast, and it gives these roll tables are right out of Book of Feast. Yes, that makes for merry and fun. The cards are excellent. Encourage your players to do that. Have some sense of what intrigue might be happening. So if you're following like a yearly structure, kind of know what's going on in the world, because that's what people are gossiping about. That way you don't have to read verbatim the two example, like Greg did a fine job with those funny like little one-on-one gossips that happen each year. But you don't have to use that structure. You can just have gossip be general gossip. And the more you know about what's going on in the sort of world around Britain, you know, the more that makes the world feel alive. This is a general strategy. Other than that, yeah, beasts tend to run themselves. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so if you have 3 courses, 80 cards, that's your thing right there. And knowing about what you're eating can tell someone. Yeah, exactly. Tell you what kind of energy. It's sort of a way of showing off too when you get the fancy stuff. Sometimes we get some pretty funny courses. But I was gonna show you the random character thing. You could pick up one of the books that has like multiple NPCs in it, and just make sure you have those handy. We tend to use like a random person role that we created, and this at least gives me a general idea of if I need someone on the fly. The neighboring region, I might go, neighboring region. We're gonna say it's actually the Saxon Shore. And then we figure out where they're from. It's a tool we use because we're using online, but in person, I use this too. I would just have a little laptop set up, and I would use this for my own notes, sort of behind the GM screen. Yeah, honestly, it's roll tables, so you can probably just the underpinnings here are just 1,000 named Kimry name thing, and you know it's not that hard to program. Continue to shout out. Welcome in, Lady Magdala. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and head back here. So we need to confirm the cast for Nintelia's Legacy and Boy King, and then from there we will continue in Cambria. So I want that group to stay in Wales. Otherwise, there's not really a reason for it to exist. If it's just Logris or Camelot, I already have one of those games. You know, Salisbury is very close to where. Maybe that's a spoiler. I don't think it is. You know, Camelot is going to be in Logris, so I kind of have that covered. Get rid of that music. Okay, so that's the run for Ninteliads. I should say too, I'm going to have a improved audio video standard. My God, is that going to be worse and harder than I thought it was going to be, and I'll talk about that when I get through these. For the Summerland game, or we're going to call it the Somerset game. We have we have to confirm the cast there. I'm going to do that with all my games, and then improved audio video standard. That will get us rid of the ASMR Nicole, where we can hear her drumming on something or running a mouse wheel, but we can't hear her voice. So we're gonna. That's one of those key drivers right there, is improving that. Somerset will still be the behind the scenes content of paganism, magic, ladies of the lake, etc. So it's still gonna focus on that, and it's still gonna have the Bridgerton vibe to it. So it's like, that isn't your standard Pendragon game. And Pendragon 6th edition especially wants you to use it wants you to use knights and knights only. They are expanding on that. They will allow for magic magicians eventually, druids and such, but not right away. So just waiting for that to come to a head. One second. There we go. Yeah, I'll talk about the audio video and what I'm seriously considering doing, even though it's going to be crazy expensive and probably isn't worth the money. Money, time is money for me too, and I need to account for that. I feel like that's something that privileged people say, but it's really for what I do. Yeah, for sure, Sweet PS. That's a good point. Welcome in, by the way. I see your name pop in all the time, but I rarely get to interact. So, Salisbury during Boy King. So this is the biggest update because this is gonna be big. So confirm the cast. I'm gonna bring this up, and it's a sad thing, but there's a very real possibility we'll at least temporarily lose Thomas. Thomas's daily real life schedule is changing, and as such, this might not be a time that works. And we'll do everything we can to keep the original 3 because they've really been at it for so long now. But this might be a short-term thing where Thomas might need to step away, and we'll just have to proceed. We are adding Zach. So if you're familiar with Sir Jaren, Zach will be joining us as Jareth's newly knighted son. He joined us for the last session as that character, and just as a bit more of a cameo. But in Boy King, he will be one of 5 players. So we know Thomas, Mark, and Liam. We have Zach, but I mentioned 5, so who's the 5th? Assuming this still is the plan, and I need to keep checking in with John and make sure this plan doesn't change. But John Wick, the creator of Legend of the Five Rings and 7th Sea, reached out to me about a month and a half ago, asked to participate in an ongoing Pendragon campaign. I asked if he wanted more to be a guest or more to be a star, like an ongoing character. He said he had a real hankering for Pendragon and wanted to do the long snap, so the long game. So if that happens, that'll be excellent for the show. It will go from 3 to 5. We do 5 in Telly's Legacy, so it's totally possible, but it's gonna be a good time. We'll see what how that pans out. I think we're staged and primed perfectly fine. If John can't, we'll still get him in for some kind of cameo. I think what having 5 regulars does, though, means I probably won't cameo other people too often. Yeah. So Yeah, that's exciting. I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're looking at for audio video. So we were we use Discord right now. The two big things we hate with Discord is Discord, like kind of similar to Zoom. It tries to manage audio separately for each person in a way that kind of doesn't do a very good job with it, to be honest. So I was working with an AV guy. Um, you got to set up on Video Ninja, or like gave me the rundown on how to set up on Video Ninja. We trialed it the first time and we're like, man, this is gonna be great. Actually, let's do this. We went to play with it on Sunday and it was a disaster. There are points where people were in the same room and couldn't see each other or hear each other. There's all sorts of things that were going on there. That some of the bugs were just like trial and error bugs, like, oh hey, my voice is on twice. So we had a couple of things I'll sort through that in the post editing before I put it up on YouTube. But yeah, yeah. I really wanted Video Ninja to work. Is that what you said? You know what? Maybe I shouldn't throw it away quite yet, because the alternative that I was seriously talking to Mark about was seeing if we wanted to go 50-50 on ping.gg, which is very expensive, but it looked very good too. I'll show you ping. So this is, let's see if I can just back it out a little bit. This is ping.gg. It does a lot of what Video Ninja does, but it's more stable, but the pricing is crazy. Let's show you what the pricing is here. It's worse than that. If it was $40 a month, I'd have bought it already. So if I do the add ultra smooth 60 FPS, and then if I want to use embed, which I think would be one of the only reasons to use it, let's say we have 5 members plus the GM, $93 a month. That's Canadian, so, or you know what? That might not even be Canadian. Actually, that might actually be US. So it's like 120 something for Canadian. Yeah, but its friggin' feature set is amazing, and the fact it allows embeds with stability where Video Ninja doesn't have that stability. Yeah, it's tempting. Video Ninja went so poorly for us that night, though. I'm not sure I can sell them. What I'm gonna do is seriously sit down and talk with Mark about this and see if we could share, because Mark and I are probably close enough friends where we could share an account, assuming it's supported and legal. I think the only thing is we couldn't run streams at the same time using this, which probably will be a very rare exception when we would want to, because we are kind of part of the same community. So competing with each other for views doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yes, the issue with Discord is the video moving is the most frustrating thing. To have every time someone disconnects, the video moves. But the audio actually isn't that great. Like, when I look at the audio, what I've been doing is I have this. Yeah, I'll show this tool because it's actually very cool. I'll stop the music briefly so you can see the demo I have. But I just want to show you how cool this post-production tool is. it has limitations in how often I can use it, and those limitations make it not as useful. But I'm just going to show you what this sounds like. Okay, so I'm going to go to one of the previous things. We'll use. I guess I can't go back far enough to show the really old stuff, just how much this changes things. But I'll show you. I'll show you Peter Corliss's. That'll probably be an obvious one. So here's without the. I'm gonna switch. You're gonna see me toggle this on and off, but check this out. We'll set it to 85 and 10 should be good. So here's normal, and watch as it flags on.
Verisimilitude. They want to be able to believe in the worlds that they're playing in.
Totally.
And in order to do that, you need to make sure that the rules of these universes are internally consistent. So if a lightsaber can do X in one movie, but it should be able to do the same thing in another movie. But again, even the behavior of lightsabers we saw change from movie to movie.
See how amazing that is?
So I think that these are the kinds of things that the game helped usher into Lucasfilm culture, as opposed to Lucas. Like, we thought that we were going to get all these guidance of, like, here's how you have to do X, Y, and Z. We weren't. We were making it up.
The problem is it's a lot of post editing. So because that tool doesn't allow for higher than 1 gig or higher than 2 hours, it means I have to usually cut an actual play in half, just get the audio in MP3, and then resync it. Is it worth it? Yes, for a time. I'd love to go through my backlog and maybe not revise the whole backlog on YouTube, but revise the whole backlog on, like, posting it on Spotify and Apple. I think would make a lot of sense for how much it would improve the backlog. But it's a ton of work. Well, what we do is we live stream. That's what we want to do, and we want to stay that way. I mean, there's no reason, in my opinion, not to live stream if you're running on Twitch, unless you're in a studio. I think if you're in a studio, pre-recorded might make sense. I've watched a lot of groups go over to that. Let me see. But the post-production, I want to use that tool simply to clean up backlog, get a podcast worthy release out there. But I don't want to do it for ever. I want to have solid audio. The fact you can add good when you embed the individual cameras, you can set up audio there, audio filtering that sounds fantastic. That was why I wanted to use Video Ninja. But maybe what I'll do is, if you guys are gurus with that, maybe I'll bug one of you sometime for that. I'm gonna kick the music back on here. Okay, so End of Anarchy, Boy King. That pretty much covers Pendragon right now. Oh, and I guess the other thing is I should probably put Boy King conversion to 6th edition. So we will be probably retiring old knights at this phase. It's up to the players. It's part of the game. Like, they get to decide whether they want to retire old knights or if they want to continue on. Because continuing on while you'll be stronger, you age and your character misses his most formative years. He's still a knight, he's still doing things, but you're not running him as a PC, so he doesn't grow as quickly as he could. Legend of the Five Rings. So for this, we're going to talk about the Topaz tournament. So Topaz tournament is currently in session 5 of 8 episodes. Episodes are highly produced, so we aim for... There isn't as much freedom to what the players do. We kind of prescribe a little bit of how that would format and stuff. Yeah, mentioning Victoria there was fun. We want to do just 8 episodes, and then if it's picked up really, really well, then we might go ahead and do a sequel. If everyone loved it, like if everyone really enjoys playing in it after it's wrapped, we wouldn't start a sequel right away, but we might come back to it 5-6 months later and do another 8 episodes. Kind of treat it like a premiere series, like Game of Thrones or something, where we do these short arcs. I was playing around with a little bit of advertisement, just to see what it would do, and it did spike the viewership significantly. So this is the YouTube. We had it around 250 or 245, and then advertising, it spiked up to 2,600 views for like $10. I'll take it. Just trying to get, this is one where we have 8 different streamers. Well, yeah, 8 different streamers, 5 of which that have their own channels. We really wanted to showcase this. I want this to be a showcase. So I put some effort into, how can we showcase it? And the stay on isn't that great. It is what it is. Welcome to Actual Plays. In my experience, they're the videos that are the hardest to keep a viewership ongoing because they're so long form, right? Multiple hours, people don't tend to stick around for multiple hours. So it's highly produced, potential sequel. And I will say this. The Topaz tournament is in the year 1123. So if you are a fan of setting, you know that means that means that something significant is about to happen. So this is a good time for them to come of age. I thought it'd be a neat way to take a look at it. And of course, they have I'm so glad I held on to this box set. This is my Oto Sanfuchi box set. So yeah, we'll see where that one goes. So far, gotten a lot of praises from the players, and it hasn't quite hit with an audience the way I think it could. We'll see if it does. We also have, we'll call it the Great Rokugan campaign. So around Boy King, every 4 weeks, we will be doing a game Liam is running. That'll give me a chance to write that week, and I'll give the other players a chance to do something else. And so this will be using L5R 5th edition, I want to say, with some inspiration from Pendragon. And we'll all be G Samurai. So from the great houses, but like not the great families of those houses. All right, so we what else we got here? That does L5R actually. From there, TTRPG Talks is probably the next thing I should talk about. Yeah, if we get a broader audience of L5R, like my 3 big games, probably. I'd like to say Call of Cthulhu's in that, but I just don't have the experience running Call of Cthulhu. So it's not really in my top 3. Top 3 games as far as like Wheelhouse goes. Pendragon slid in out of nowhere into first. Used to be L5R was first for me. And World of Darkness, specifically Vampire, is in my wheelhouse. I actually have find it easily. My favorite edition is the V21, and I have the big V20 leather-bound tome from the very early crowdsourcing days. Not that I don't like V5. Probably there's elements of the V5 setting I don't like. More so. And with Mark focusing more on that, I think it's almost better for me to participate in other people's World of Darkness than to spend a bunch of time doing that here too. But it doesn't mean I won't do something. Yeah, V5 is a decent system. I've played one professionally run game of it for about 5 sessions before a couple of the players got ahead of each other and it got awkward. My problem with V5 is more in the setting. I just am not very inspired by the setting of V5, and I also don't like the shift to like the disciplines. To me, are a little janky. I know what they were trying to do with streamlining them, but like some of them to me, it's like, look, why are we even playing with canon at that point? You know, if all of a sudden Serpentis and Protean are just the same thing. Like, I don't know. It's, you almost need to make a new canon then. That can be Marvel 616 and you're gonna go make, you know, Ultimate Marvel or whatever. Marvel Ultimate. I feel like that needs to happen, and I don't understand the move altogether. I think Vampire Chapters? No, I did not. I heard good things. My sense of, you know, having played Vampire from the 90s forward into New World of Darkness, which was very resistant to do, and I played a lot of Requiem, and then came back to World. I was excited for Vampire 5th, but all I got was like a system that didn't know whether it wanted to be Requiem or VTM. You know, it wanted to be both. I'd rather play Requiem than V5. I think if your goal is to do something that isn't super focused on canon, V5's not as good of a game as Requiem is. Requiem doesn't care about canon. Like, it's the better build your own world game out of the two. In my opinion. And I also thought Blood Potency was fantastic as an idea. I like the idea that they lost their memory over time, so you could theoretically be an ancient vampire who just doesn't really know how old they are. Those are all cool ideas. I picked up Blood and Smoke. I love that edition too. So yeah, we'll see. I like the idea that White Wolf exists again. Maybe that will do more. Sometimes branding is not just a artificial tool. Sometimes it actually matters. I feel like there will be a resurgence of the Chronicles of Darkness at some point. Like I feel like that's bound to happen. An anniversary edition will come out. Something will happen. I should talk to Dawkins about that. But on TTRPG Talks, I have the Edmonton GameCon talk. So I got a media pass for the GameCon. So I'm really hoping to actually get access to a whole bunch of. Well, there aren't a lot of designers there. There are a couple, and there might be some that are just there as guests, like there as guests that just happen to be there. So I'm gonna network where I can. I'd love to hit like Matthew Lillard or Nora Ibrahim, especially because of her work on LA by Night, right? But we'll see. I also, thanks to Logomancy Media, he hooked me up with getting this fancy thing in order and serve as a tripod or a selfie stick. And I've got a backup battery charger. My phone will sit right here, and then I've got a really expensive, not really expensive, a very well budgeted mic that's going to come along with it. So for a reasonable chunk of change, I got like something I can continue to bring with me to other future events. So, that's upcoming guests. So these are in no particular order. I'll talk about who I've reached out to and who's gotten back to me with a yes for sure. So none of these are scheduled. I have an ask out to Trevor Duvall. Is that how you pronounce it, or how you spell it rather? And he is doing the Broken Empires game. He's Me, Myself, and Die. I like a lot of Trevor's theory crafting. I'd love to advertise for him. I've reached out to Dungeon Craft, Professor DM. And this one, I'd like to report, got a yes just after the con season. So probably sometime in the fall, I'll be able to interview Professor Dungeon Master or Dungeon Craft on his Deathbringer game. There we go. So he is producing Deathbringer. I think he had a small version of Deathbringer that he created, and now he's going to do like a full fleshed out version of the game. So he's an upcoming one. I have reached out to Mike Curry, who's actually an internet friend of mine. I used to play video games with Mike. He was part of the Bear Swarm podcast. And he was the game designer of the controversial 7th Sea 2nd edition. And he is a yes. I have an ask out to Kelsey Dion. I don't even think I'm going to put that name down here. I doubt that one's going to work out. But the ask has gone out. And then I have an ask out to Jason Carl. His internet celebrity status, now that he ran LA by Night, might make him a no. But we'll put him as TBD for now. But Trevor, unlikely, because he's both a professional voice actor and successful with Me, Myself, and Die, and hasn't gotten back to me in 4 months. So probably unlikely. Yeah, he's the DM from LA by Night. So I think that's the thing that would make him difficult to get him on. Is there some sense of internet celebrity in that sort of thing, right? I have lots of other games that I think, as long as they're not internet celebrities as well, they're not famous dungeon tubers or haven't been, stars of, let's say, Critical Role, they're likely to look. They're happy to talk. Like Sandy Peterson got back to me almost right away. So did Matthew Dawkins. Nothing but nice things to say about that guy. Fantastic. Honestly, Robert Schroeder, he doesn't design a lot of games himself. He designs rulebooks for Pendragon, but he opened up the door for me just by doing that with me. It gave me like a bridge in, and super grateful for that one. John Wick, getting to play in his weekly campaign right now, I think opens some doors there, which anyone could do. Post games on startplaying.games, but he's been phenomenal, and he's probably my favorite game designer of all time. I love his theory crafting. And then Peter Corliss, I got to play in a short campaign with him. If you watch the TTRPG Talks episode, he actually goes over that campaign. It's a campaign of Pendragon, but it's set in Dalriada, which is the part of Scotland and Ireland that was one kingdom at the north of Ireland there. And it's a really cool idea. It was really creative. I wish it would have worked out a little bit better for me. There was one more thing I was going to add there. I feel like I might have forgotten something. Oh yeah, David Larkins. That's where I was going. David Larkins, most recent guest, being able to talk to the current line editor of Pendragon when 90% of my channel is Pendragon. It's what I needed to do, and I heard nothing but great things about him from like several people. Matthew Lillard, yeah. We'll see if that happens. He's got that game, Purple Worm Kill, Run Purple Worm Kill. Is that what it's called? That's what their big event's gonna be. I don't really understand it fully yet. I do want to be appraised to it in case I get the opportunity to talk to him. But
You make copies.
We're doomed.
I'm Aragon, called Atticus McMurder, who's like unbelievably cute.
I dress for comfort, all right? I'm not trying to get the cover of GQ, Goblin Quarterly.
Have any of you ever seen a purple worm?
Little baby bunny pops up.
This is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Your enemies will be our enemies.
The house falls.
I never got to see the bathroom.
You monster.
What if I roll all once? Maybe you'll live.
it's kind of wild to me that actual plays have picked up to this point where they're touring. It reminds me of like when League of Legends was so popular that it was touring, it was pretty wild. But it's cool. I'm not crapping on it. It's just surprising is the word I'm really looking for. Yeah, it's not even like even smaller than Dimensions 20 makes sense because they're like basically College Humor. There's also Glass Cannon Network, which I think Glass Cannon Network is some of my favorite stuff. If you haven't seen their Pendragon run, it's worth watching. It's real high-end, really good fun. They did it quite recently. But my favorite thing that Glass Cannon Network did is Time for Chaos, I believe it's called. And see if I can find, I clipped it a long time ago. Oh, I'll show you the feast card. They ran a feast card in it.
Merciful or cruel about it?
Cruel.
What
Hey, that sounds like him. That sounds like him.
Please roll against your cruel.
Okay. 1.
You did it.
Under 12.
It says here, you mock his loss. Okay, so this guy's like, and she told me that she was going to take the kids and go all the way to the north because she'd rather be with Saxons than be with barely a man. That's what she said. Could you believe that? Could you believe that, sir?
Yes, actually, I quite believe it.
What? Huh?
What?
Sniveling whiner. Who would want to stay with you?
Sure, you make a jest, sir. You make a jest.
Could you
to
pass
lighten
the
my
salt?
mood.
I can't reach it.
So you mock his loss, a fool.
On that.
But none of the 5 little ducks.
I need to figure out here how to get the full episode because I know there's a way to just like click out of the clip. So this is from an episode without context. This is like when one of the characters went too mad to stay with the rest of the group and they got sent home. And this is like the dead brother scenario. I'll explain it more as we go. There we go.
But none of the 5 little ducks came back.
And as he's standing there, Birdie comes and stands.
There we go. I can go a little bit back.
Mother ducks, but only one.
Mild sedative, and you see Vaughn sort of relax, and his clothing is a little disheveled, like maybe he was having an episode and needed to be calmed down. And his mother is standing there watching. Her eyes are a little red. And Doctor nods at her, and then we hear this kind of like a 1920s phonograph. It's like 2 little ducks went out one day over the hills.
Watch Rob's gotcha
away.
here. It's pretty awesome.
Mother duck said quack, 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 quack.
When he gets it,
but only one little duck came back.
Takes a minute.
And
Rob's like
everyone
the
leaves the
Joker, but
room.
when he gets this, you see the slow clap.
And Vaughn opens his eyes and just like walks over to the window and looks out.
One little duck went out one day over the hill and far away.
And he's just looking out over the grounds.
Mother duck said quack, 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 quack. But none of the 5 little ducks came back.
And as he's standing there,
right here,
Birdie comes and stands beside him and puts his hand on Vaughn's shoulder and looks out the window with him. And if we're looking at like a wide view from outside, we see the mother come out. Maybe look up in the direction of the window, but can't see Vaughn. It just looks over at the grounds.
Sad mother duck went out one day over the hill and far away.
And we just follow her gaze over to the cemetery.
Sad mother duck said quack, quack, quack. And all of the 5 little ducks came back.
And we just see a headstone that says Bertrand Villiers, lost at sea near the coast of Prince Edward Island, dated 7 years ago. And we'll see you next week.
That was probably one of my favorite series to watch. It was super good. And those guys do a fantastic job. I wasn't sure what to think about it when it first came out, but it is really good. All right, so I will get the rest of this written up here, because if I don't, with all my tangents, I'll be sad. I'm mostly through everything, and I'm still looking for guests. If anyone has certain game designers they want me to reach out to talk to, I can do so. Biggest caveat is I gotta probably like the game, or at least be inspired by some element of it, or else I'm not likely to take them seriously, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to disrespect someone. But yeah, there's lots of game designers out there. I could probably get years of content, and that is the goal. I'm running out of my immediate circle, so I think I could probably get Cam Banks on, who did Marvel Heroic and Cortex Plus games like Smallville, etc. I could probably get Cam on. Mike Curry, and I have one more. I'm trying to remember who else I could pull in on a bind. Olivia Hill, formerly was printed as David Hill back in Blood and Smoke. It was Blood and Smoke writer. And I think Vampire Dark Ages V20 as well. So I can probably do that. Though if they're still in Japan, that could be very... So TTRPG talks. From here, audio podcasts. So I'm looking at taking some of our media and making sure it's available on more than just Twitch and YouTube. So Spotify, Mediate, and Apple eventually. I have a game of AP Gaming Reels that I'll be joining, which is a Song of Ice and Fire game. Let me see if I can find his little video here. Play that. It's called Serpents in the Reed. I should probably, you know what I'll do is I'll say guest starring. And guest starring. See if I can quickly find this for AP Gaming Reel. Here we go. Yeah, so AP Gaming Reel puts on some amazing stuff. This is the guy who came and did Duke Orlo for me. Fantastic. He does a lot in the BattleTech universe, though I think he's trying to expand elsewhere. He does Imperium Maledictum. Probably one of his famous shows was Oath of Endosteel. And long before that, Time of Total Warfare in the BattleTech world. I think they had. I forget his
I'm
name.
Arthur Perkins. This is AP Gaming Reel, and we are
Death
going to
Wish.
present a
Sid
Time of
Alpha.
Total
Sid
Warfare
Alpha was a
BattleTech
player on
campaign.
this.
We're
years ago.
combining the rule set of A Time of Warfare.
This guy,
and A
Pierre
Time
Rad,
of-
he's hilarious.
Really, guys? We've already.
Everything's fine.
It's a pretty good series. That's a good series.
Mine was muted.
The one I would recommend if you're going to watch any of AP's series, Oath of Endosteel.
Hello, I'm Arthur Perkins, and this is AP
This one
Gaming
is super
Reel.
good.
Welcome to the first episode of Oath of Endosteel.
This is like BattleTech
tabletop
meets
RPG.
Pendragon.
I'd like to talk first about what sets us apart from other tabletop RPG streams. You're going to be looking at a generational nature of play and a political process. Our protagonists are going to play a game of BattleTech's Total War system with RPG elements supported by MechWarrior Destiny's closed beta. As years pass between battles, we will follow the story of their families, their heirs, their decisions, and the fate of both the planet Whittington and the Inner Sphere at large. I am, of
They
course,
used
the game master.
they used MechWarrior Destiny. Is what they moved to, and then I think they started using Stars Without Numbers, and I think they moved to Alpha Strike eventually, just for timing. Why, like time commitments were becoming a challenge, so they needed something they could knock out in a short amount of time. He's also done some really cool stuff. Let's see, what else can I talk about? He's always got, what I like about AP stuff is he's always experimenting, trying to push some edge of something. Like, is this where Blood Bowl is, or is it on someone else's? I can show you Solaris Knights. So Solaris Knights was like almost more of like a tournament game set on Solaris with a cast of players. And they would actually roll it out on Tabletop Simulator.
Okay.
But AP would do like the interviews and all that stuff. It was
Several questions about Liao and clans, and there's a lot of talk. So there's a lot of Federated Sons military talk, and not a lot of
Yeah. I'll show one other random clip from AP. I don't mind doing this because I'm shouting out a friend. I put together a compilation for, like, out of a number of his different shows, he did a running bit, and I compiled those to show them, because for a while AP was actually running BattleTech over for us. So I will show you what's that called? Immortal Warrior. They're actually pretty funny.
You see, it's a dark screen, and it's a man taking something off his uniform, like taking off his medals, like taking off his rank bar, and he says, "Congratulations, you've been dishonorably discharged, First Sergeant." And he says, "Thank you, sir. I'm glad to have served the Lyran Commonwealth." And then you hear like a drum roll. And we still haven't seen this guy's face, but we get his hands on like a tractor farming somewhere, and there was a peaceful life.
Have a good night, Zed.
And then like we see
I
a
missed that.
dropship falling from the sky, but the engines are evilly red. They came. And we see like evil pirate battle mechs. They're junk. They've been thrown together instead of
fucking old agromechs that have been
instead of an autocannon. They have like 6 machine guns strapped together with wire.
It's like the Raider armor
Yeah.
in Fallout.
Love this. I'll show you the one that got me.
He's down on his
cracking up.
back.
Ghostly
first-
mystery.
Yeah, the
mechs
pre-recorded one.
systematically cut down by one mech fading in and out of the screen.
To solve a ghostly mystery, one legendary hero partners with a legendary team.
A silhouette of a drop shuttle can be seen at the spaceport as the sun sets behind it. Screen fades to black again. Fade in to show the feet of a battle mech. The camera pans up. The screen fades to black at about knee height.
And one dog? Ruby, Ruby, Roo!
Music turns into Scooby-Doo, Where Are You theme from the 1970s cartoon. We see Scooby and the gang standing outside the spaceport, meeting the Immortal Warrior.
Like zoinks there, Scooby-Doo. It's the Immortal Warrior. Of the century, Scooby-Doo and the gang find their biggest mystery yet. Immortal Warrior stars in Scooby-Doo, The Case of the Phantom Mech.
Yeah, anyways, AP puts on some really good stuff. So definitely looking at Serpent.
Which brings us to our very first segment of.
Stop it. All right. I'll get back on track, I promise. I'm almost done. Where'd my lo-fi music go? Let's just put on some new stuff.
Just.
Okay. That'll work for now. I don't know why I got Brendan Lee Mulligan on here. So Serpent in the Reeds is Game of Thrones. Starting in late June, and then obviously I should be shouting out Mark's House of Premiere because we're most of the way through that. And this is Vampire the Masquerade. Cat's Meow Show, and I think Mark said we have like 6 or something episodes left. Tremere does mean friendship. I need to turn this music down a little bit. It's louder than I thought it was. Okay. So, just coming back up here, we mentioned Legend of the Five Rings. We are going to be doing Above and Below. Or, They Came From Below, is what it's called. Not the board game Above and Below. So, no, The World Below. I'm mixing up all of Matthew Duggan's games right now. So we're going to start The World Below, which is going to feature Cyberbro as a GM. And we're going to do that as a writer's break for me every 4 weeks as well. On our Tuesday crew. So that's in the Somerset game. Once a month. From Somerset game on Tuesdays. And we'll see what that looks like. Matthew Dawkins sounded really excited that we were doing that, so I think he he has a lot of passion for that one. And I don't know if it's really done as well as, you know, I'm not sure if it's met his passion. Put it that way. All right, 1 second. Okay. Start in the reads. That pretty much covers everything I've got going on project-wise. And I answered quite a few questions before, so I might go ahead and wrap up there for the night. We are nearing, how long have I been on? An hour and a half. Yeah, at least for this, for just chatting, I might go ahead and close. I'm half tempted to try and run through the Call of Cthulhu starter set. I might go ahead and cut over the stream and do like the solo play of that. So I'm feeling pretty tired. So I'm gonna take like a 5-minute. You might see me back on, folks. Why don't I go ahead and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and try that Call of Cthulhu thing, even if it's a disaster. I'm just gonna take some caffeine first, and then I'll be back in a couple minutes with that. So hold tight, and thanks for watching.